Inside a locked room, 3 floors under the Las Vegas offices of Bigelow Aerospace, hundreds of secret papers gather dust. These files hold witness stories, science reports, and photos that no one has ever seen. They show meetings so scary that even tough people who study these things won't talk about them. The papers have a simple stamp on them. It says, "Not for public release, NIDS Level 5. What secrets about Skinwalker Ranch were too dangerous to tell the world? For over 20 years, the most studied weird place in North America has been watched by scientists. Yet the stories that reach people are only a small part of what really happened. This happened on that faraway Utah land. The real files show a picture far more scary than anything movies could dream up. The ranch sits in the middle of the Uinta Basin. This is a low area with tall mountains all around it. This lonely valley has been home to the Ute people for hundreds of years. Their old stories speak of creatures that should not exist. They tell of events that make no sense. They give a clear warning. Some places are not meant for humans to live in. When Terry Sherman bought the land in 1994, he knew none of this history. He saw only good grassland at a very low price. The owners before him were the Gorman family. They had lived there for 60 years. Then they quickly sold and went away. Real estate papers from the sale have an odd rule. The new owners could never dig more than 3 feet into the ground. They needed written okay first. No one said why this rule was there. Sherman's first sign that something was wrong came during his first tour of the land. The main house had deadbolts on every inside door. Heavy chains were bolted to the walls near each door. The windows had steel mesh over them. When Sherman asked about these changes, the seller's person gave an answer. The old owners were worried about safety. This reason seemed too simple. There was too much protection for such a simple reason. The Sherman family's strange times at the ranch began right after moving in. Their cattle started acting weird. Healthy animals would suddenly refuse to go into certain fields. Others would gather in tight groups. They faced outward. It was as if they were protecting against something they could not see. Animal doctors found no reason for these behaviors. Within 6 months, Sherman lost 14 head of cattle. These losses happened in ways that made no sense. Some animals just went away. They left no tracks or blood trail. Others were found with clean cuts. These cuts took out certain organs. The rest of the body was left alone. The cuts looked like they were made with very good tools. These were far better than anything local wild animals could use. They were even better than what human intruders could use. Dr. Frank Salisbury was a plant scientist from Utah State University. He was among the first scientists to study the ranch. His notes were never published. They were gotten through a Freedom of Information Act request. They tell of events that went against his understanding of how nature works. Many times, Salisbury saw objects appearing in mid-air. He also saw them going away in mid-air. He wrote down temperature changes of over 40 degrees. These changes happened within seconds. They happened in small areas no bigger than a few square feet. Salisbury's most detailed story tells of something that happened in August 1995. He was setting up watching equipment near the ranch's south pasture. He saw what looked like a doorway opening in empty air. It was about 20 feet above the ground. Through this opening, he could see a different place entirely. The plants were different. The light was different. The land looked nothing like the Utah desert. The opening stayed there for about 3 minutes. Then it closed. Salisbury's photos of this event were taken by federal agents. They have never been released. The National Institute for Discovery Science began its formal study of Skinwalker Ranch in September 1996. It was started by aerospace billionaire Robert Bigelow. NIDS put together a team of physicists, biologists, and former military intelligence officers. Their job was to write down and study the paranormal activity. Their mission was simple. They wanted to use strict scientific methods to study events. These were events that mainstream science refused to look at. NIDS set up a permanent research station on the property. It had devices that could detect electromagnetic fields. It had infrared cameras. It had earthquake monitors and air sensors. The team worked in rotating shifts. This way they could keep constant watch. What they recorded over the next 8 years would challenge the basic ideas of modern physics. Dr. Colm Kelleher served as NIDS deputy administrator. He spent more time on the ranch than any other researcher. His classified reports tell of meetings that go far beyond simple things. They go beyond the cattle killings and strange lights. These are what most public accounts talk about. Kelleher wrote down humanoid figures. These appeared to be made of shadow. They showed up in broad daylight. They were seen through multiple detection systems at the same time. One thing from Kelleher's files involves a research team member going away for a while. On the 15th of March 1998, something happened to biochemist Dr. Sarah Martinez. She was collecting soil samples near the ranch's northwestern boundary. Radio contact was lost at about 2:30 inches the afternoon. A quick search found no trace of Martinez. Her equipment was also missing. 6 hours later, she came back in the same location. She had no memory of the time in between. She had no awareness that any time had passed. Her equipment, however, told a different story. It showed 6 hours of non-stop data collection. The readings should have been impossible. This was given what the instruments could do. The most disturbing entries in the NIDS files concern what researchers called predator events. These incidents involved attacks on both livestock and humans. The attacks came from things that left no physical trace of being there. Security cameras would capture the approach of an invisible force. This was only clear through how animals reacted. You could see it in the movement of grass and debris. The attacks themselves were swift and brutal. They resulted in injuries that looked like they were caused by claws or fangs, yet no predator was ever seen or captured. Ranch foreman Thomas Gorman was nephew of the original owners. He agreed to work for NIDS. In exchange, he got housing and protection. His daily logs provide a ground-level view of life under constant paranormal attack. Gorman reported that normal ranch activities became impossible. Livestock refused to graze in certain areas. Equipment broke down without clear cause. Electronic devices had interference. This interference followed no known pattern. Gorman's most scary account tells of an attack on his family dog. This happened in November 1997. The animal was found with injuries. These injuries matched a large predator attack. Yet security footage showed no animal in the area. More disturbing still, the dog's injuries healed at a very fast rate. They completely went away within 48 hours. Animal doctors could find no medical reason for this rapid healing. The NIDS team put in more and more advanced monitoring equipment. This happened as the study went on. By 2002, the ranch was equipped with a sensor network. It could detect electromagnetic problems. It could find infrared signatures. It could spot air disturbances across the entire 480-acre property. The data collected by these systems showed patterns. These patterns suggested intelligent control behind the events. Electromagnetic disturbances happened with predictable timing. They often came before visual events. This happened by exactly 17 minutes. Temperature problems followed geometric patterns. These had no connection with wind. They had no connection with height or solar exposure. Most importantly, the events appeared to respond to human attention. They increased in frequency and intensity when researchers were present. They increased when researchers were actively watching. Dr. Eric Davis was a physicist. He worked with exotic propulsion systems. He joined the NIDS team in 1999. His classified reports focus on what he called space-time distortions. These were seen at the ranch. Davis wrote down multiple instances where something strange happened. The apparent distance between 2 points changed without reason. Researchers would begin walking toward a distant landmark. They would find themselves covering the distance in far less time than should have been possible. On the other hand, some areas of the ranch seemed to expand. Familiar locations became unreachable. This happened despite being clearly visible. Davis's most important finding involved a discovery. He found what appeared to be artificial wormholes or dimensional portals. His team used advanced electromagnetic sensors. They detected regions where space itself seemed to fold. This created shortcuts between distant locations on the property. These portals were invisible to the naked eye, but they could be detected through their gravitational effects on nearby objects. The NIDS study faced constant interference from unknown sources. Equipment would malfunction right away. This happened upon detecting important events. Data would be corrupted. Sometimes it was entirely deleted from secure storage systems. Most frustrating for the researchers was something else. There was apparent intelligence behind this interference. The sabotage was too precise. It was too well timed to be coincidental. By 2004, NIDS had written down over 400 separate paranormal incidents at Skinwalker Ranch. These ranged from simple electromagnetic problems to something much more complex. They included full shows of apparently alien craft. Yet, despite this extensive documentation, very little information was ever released to the public. The decision to classify most findings came from the highest levels of the organization. It was never fully explained to the research team. Several NIDS researchers have spoken anonymously about their experiences at the ranch. One physicist asked that his name not be used. He told of an incident where his team met what appeared to be military personnel. These personnel wore unmarked uniforms. These individuals claimed authority over the research site. They took sensitive equipment. They did not provide identification or legal justification. The incident was reported to local law enforcement, but no record of any military presence in the area could be found. The same researcher reported something else. Certain areas of the ranch seemed to exist outside normal space-time. GPS devices would malfunction when approaching these zones. Radio communications would be interrupted. The interruptions came from voices speaking in unknown languages. Most disturbing, team members would sometimes age visibly while working in these areas. They would develop gray hair and wrinkles over the course of a single day. These effects would reverse once they left the property. In 2016, ownership of Skinwalker Ranch moved to Brandon Fugel. He was a Utah real estate developer. He had interests in aerospace technology. Fugel inherited not only the property but also something else. He got the extensive NIDS research archive. His public statements suggest something important. Much of the most important evidence remains classified. This is pending what he calls appropriate disclosure protocols. Under Fugel's ownership, new research teams have continued to write down unusual events at the ranch. However, these modern investigations focus mainly on specific things. They focus on electromagnetic and atmospheric problems. They avoid the more exotic claims. These claims characterized the NIDS era. This shift may reflect changing scientific attitudes, or it may indicate something else. The most dangerous events may have been contained or moved. Recent investigations have revealed something new. There are previously unknown structures beneath the ranch property. Ground-penetrating radar has identified what appears to be an extensive underground facility. It has corridors and chambers. These extend far deeper than any known natural cave system in the area. The layout of these underground structures shows signs of artificial construction, yet their age and origin remain mysterious. Several attempts have been made to access these underground areas. People have tried drilling and digging. Each effort has been stopped by unexpected obstacles. Drill bits encounter materials harder than known metals. Electronic equipment fails when brought near dig sites. Most importantly, workers report intense feelings. They feel dread and physical illness when working in areas directly above the underground structures. The Ute Tribal Council has maintained consistent opposition to any digging at the ranch. Tribal spokesman Robert Yellowhorse has made a statement. The underground areas are the dwelling place of entities that should remain undisturbed. According to Ute tradition, these beings once moved freely across the earth. They were driven underground by ancient human activities. The tribe believes something important. Any attempt to access their current refuge could result in their return to the surface world. Government interest in Skinwalker Ranch extends far beyond scientific curiosity. Multiple federal agencies have maintained surveillance of the property since the 1990s. The Department of Defense established a classified study program. It was called the Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Applications Program. This included Skinwalker Ranch among its focus areas. The program's findings have never been declassified, though leaked documents suggest something important. The events observed at the ranch may have effects for national security. The ranch's closeness to sensitive military installations adds another layer of complexity to its study. Dugway Proving Ground lies about 40 miles to the southwest. This is where the military tests biological and chemical weapons. Hill Air Force Base is 60 miles to the north. It is home to advanced aerospace research programs. Some researchers have suggested something. The events at Skinwalker Ranch may be connected to classified military experiments. These experiments are conducted at these facilities. This theory gains believability when considering something. You have to think about the types of technology that witnesses have reported observing at the ranch. There are silent aircraft with impossible flight characteristics. There are devices that appear to manipulate electromagnetic fields. There are craft that seem to phase in and out of visible existence. These descriptions match theoretical abilities of advanced military projects. These projects remain classified to this day. However, something is important to note. The longevity of reports from the Skinwalker Ranch area predates modern military presence by decades. Native American accounts of unusual events in the Uinta Basin extend back centuries. Early European settlers reported similar experiences in their journals and letters. This historical continuity suggests something. Whatever exists at the ranch is not solely the product of recent human activity. The biological effects observed at Skinwalker Ranch represent some of the most disturbing aspects of the events. Researchers have written down genetic mutations in plants and animals. These occur far too rapidly to result from natural processes. Some cattle have developed additional limbs or organs. These have no counterpart in known mammalian anatomy. Plant specimens collected from certain areas of the ranch exhibit cellular structures. These structures do not match any known species. Human visitors to the ranch have reported persistent health effects. These effects follow their exposure to the events. These include accelerated aging and unexplained scarring. They also include neurological symptoms that resemble radiation poisoning. Medical examinations of affected individuals have found something troubling. There are elevated levels of exotic isotopes in their blood and tissue samples. The source of these isotopes cannot be determined through conventional analysis. The psychological impact of prolonged exposure to the ranch environment has also been documented. Researchers report vivid nightmares. They report auditory hallucinations. They report persistent feelings of being watched. Some individuals develop an obsessive fixation on returning to the ranch. This happens despite their rational understanding of the potential dangers. These psychological effects appear to persist long after physical contact with the property has ended. Dr. Travis Taylor is an aerospace engineer. He participated in recent studies of the ranch. He has described encountering events that challenged his understanding of physics and reality. His unpublished notes reference what he calls time displacement events. These are where cause and effect relationships appear to be reversed. Sometimes they are entirely suspended. In one documented incident, Taylor observed something strange. The shadow of an object appeared several minutes before the object itself became visible. The ranch's effect on electronic equipment has been consistently documented. This has happened across multiple research teams and decades of study. Digital cameras malfunction in specific ways. They produce images that show objects not visible to the naked eye. Audio recording equipment captures sounds at frequencies outside the normal range of human hearing. Most puzzling, some electronic devices seem to record events before they actually occur. They display footage of activities that take place minutes or hours later. These time problems have led some researchers to propose something. Skinwalker Ranch exists at a convergence point between multiple timelines or dimensions. According to this theory, the events observed at the ranch are actually glimpses of events. These events are occurring in parallel realities. The underground structures might serve as anchor points. These points prevent these realities from completely merging. They maintain a fragile boundary between worlds. The scientific establishment's response to Skinwalker Ranch has been largely dismissive. This happens despite the caliber of researchers involved in its study. Mainstream journals refuse to publish papers on the ranch's events. They cite lack of reproducibility and violation of established physical laws. This institutional resistance has forced researchers to do something. They have to pursue alternative publication methods, or they have to abandon their findings entirely. Some scientists argue that this skepticism is justified. They point to the amazing nature of the claims. They also point to the lack of independently verifiable evidence. Others contend something different. The scientific community's refusal to engage with the data represents a failure of intellectual curiosity. They say it shows adherence to dogma rather than empirical investigation. The debate over Skinwalker Ranch reflects broader tensions. These tensions exist within the scientific community. They concern the investigation of unusual events. Traditional scientific methodology requires reproducible results under controlled conditions. These are standards that may be impossible to meet. This is especially true when studying events that appear to be intelligently controlled and deliberately evasive. Recent developments at the ranch suggest something. The events may be evolving or responding to increased attention. New types of shows have been observed. These do not match historical patterns. The frequency of incidents has increased substantially. This happened since the property began receiving widespread media coverage. Some researchers interpret this as evidence. The events are reactive to human consciousness or attention. The possibility that Skinwalker Ranch represents a form of non-human intelligence has been seriously considered. Multiple research teams have thought about this. The patterns observed in the events suggest purposeful behavior. This is rather than random natural events. The apparent ability to manipulate technology and biological systems indicates something. It shows abilities far beyond known terrestrial life forms. If this intelligence hypothesis is correct, then something important may be true. The events at Skinwalker Ranch may represent humanity's first confirmed contact with a non-human intelligence. The effects of this possibility extend far beyond scientific curiosity. They touch on fundamental questions about our place in the universe. They touch on our understanding of reality itself. The files that remain classified in Bigelow's vault may contain something important. They may have the definitive evidence needed to answer these questions. According to former NIDS personnel, these documents include photographic evidence of alien craft. They contain detailed biological analyses of unknown organisms. They have testimony from government witnesses. These witnesses observed the events firsthand. The decision to withhold this information reflects something. It shows either an abundance of caution or recognition. The truth about Skinwalker Ranch may be too significant to release without careful preparation. Current investigations at the ranch continue to produce new mysteries. This happens even as they attempt to solve old ones. Advanced sensor networks detect patterns in the events. These patterns suggest mathematical relationships underlying their shows. The discovery of these patterns has led some researchers to do something. They have developed predictive models. These models can predict certain types of events before they occur. However, the events appear to be aware of these predictive efforts. They have begun changing their patterns to avoid detection. This adaptive behavior reinforces theories about something. There is the presence of an intelligence behind the shows. It raises questions about the ethics of continued study. If the events represent a form of sentient life, then something may be true. The ongoing research may constitute a form of harassment or provocation. The indigenous perspective on Skinwalker Ranch emphasizes respect. This is respect for forces beyond human understanding. Ute elders have consistently warned something. Some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved. They say that certain boundaries should not be crossed. Their traditional approach emphasizes coexistence. This is rather than confrontation with the unknown entities that inhabit the area. This wisdom takes on new significance. This happens as research at the ranch intensifies and the events become increasingly reactive. The escalating nature of recent incidents suggests something. Continued investigation may be provoking responses. These responses are beyond human ability to control or understand. The classified files may contain evidence. This evidence shows that this escalation has already reached dangerous levels. Recent witness accounts describe encounters with humanoid beings. These beings appear to be composed of pure energy. These entities communicate through direct mental contact. This is rather than spoken language. Their messages consistently warn humans to cease their investigations. They want humans to leave the area undisturbed. Some researchers have interpreted these warnings as threats. Others view them as expressions of genuine concern for human safety. Advanced monitoring equipment has detected the presence of something. Researchers term these dimensional tears in the fabric of reality around the ranch. These appear as brief openings. They allow glimpses into alternate versions of our world. Some show landscapes where human civilization never developed. Others reveal environments that appear to be millions of years in the future. The effects of these observations challenge our understanding. They challenge our understanding of time, space, and the nature of existence itself. The ranch's cattle continue to experience unexplained events. This happens even under modern ownership. Animal doctors have written down cases where animals appear to age decades in a matter of hours. Others develop organ systems that serve no known biological function. Most disturbing, some cattle appear to retain memories of events. These events occurred before their birth. They react with fear to locations where previous generations of animals experienced trauma. Soil samples from certain areas of the ranch contain isotopes. These isotopes do not occur naturally on Earth. Analysis suggests these materials may have originated in distant star systems. The concentration of these exotic elements increases with closeness to the underground structures. This has led some researchers to theorize something. The ranch may serve as a landing site or refueling station for extraterrestrial visitors. Local wildlife exhibits behavioral changes. These changes extend far beyond the ranch boundaries. Birds alter their migration patterns to avoid flying over the property. Predatory animals refuse to hunt in the surrounding area. Even insects appear to avoid certain regions of the ranch. These behavioral modifications suggest something. The effects of whatever exists at Skinwalker Ranch extend well beyond its property lines. The ranch's electromagnetic signature has been studied extensively. Multiple research teams have done this. The data reveals patterns that resemble those produced by advanced propulsion systems. These systems are theorized by cutting-edge physics. Some researchers believe this indicates the presence of technology. This technology manipulates gravitational fields and space-time itself. The effects for human technology and our understanding of physics could be revolutionary. Temperature measurements taken at the ranch reveal the existence of cold spots. In these areas, the laws of thermodynamics appear to be suspended. These areas maintain temperatures significantly below ambient levels. They do this without any apparent energy source. Objects placed in these zones freeze instantly. This happens even in summer heat. The effect suggests the presence of technology or natural forces. These can extract energy from the environment at the molecular level. Photographic evidence collected over the years includes images of structures and beings. These appear only briefly before vanishing. High-speed cameras have captured the materialization process. They show entities and objects gradually becoming solid. Then they dissolve back into invisibility. The physics behind this occurrence remain completely unknown to modern science. Water sources on the ranch exhibit unusual properties. These properties defy conventional chemistry. Springs that should produce clear mountain water instead flow with different liquids. These liquids change color and thickness without apparent cause. Analysis reveals the presence of complex organic compounds. These compounds do not exist in nature. Some samples contain amino acid sequences. These sequences suggest non-terrestrial origin. The ranch's effect on human perception has been documented through controlled studies. Individuals exposed to certain areas report enhanced sensory abilities. These include the ability to see infrared radiation. They include the ability to hear ultrasonic frequencies. These effects are temporary but suggest something. The ranch environment can fundamentally alter human neurophysiology. The mechanisms behind these changes remain completely unknown. Plant life on the ranch displays characteristics that challenge botanical classification. Some species appear to be hybrids of unrelated plant families. Others exhibit behaviors typically associated with animal life. These include apparent responses to human presence and communication. Seeds collected from these plants fail to germinate in normal soil. This suggests they require specific environmental conditions. These conditions are found only at the ranch. The ranch's geological structure includes formations. These formations do not match known processes of rock formation. Some stone samples contain embedded materials. These materials appear to be manufactured rather than natural. Crystal structures within the rock exhibit properties. These properties suggest they may serve as components in some form of advanced technology. The purpose and origin of these formations remain completely mysterious. Archaeological investigations have revealed artifacts buried beneath the ranch. These artifacts predate known human habitation of the area. These objects exhibit advanced metallurgy and engineering. This exceeds the abilities of ancient civilizations. Radiocarbon dating produces inconsistent results. Some samples appear to be both extremely ancient and impossibly young. The artifact's creators and purpose remain unknown. The ranch's impact on electronic communications extends beyond simple equipment failure. Radio transmissions from the area are sometimes received at frequencies. These frequencies should be impossible to generate with current technology. These signals contain information encoded in ways that suggest non-human intelligence. Attempts to decode the messages have been unsuccessful. But pattern analysis reveals mathematical relationships. These relationships imply purposeful communication. Weather patterns around the ranch exhibit problems that weather experts cannot explain. Localized storms form without apparent atmospheric conditions to support them. Snow falls during summer heat waves in areas no larger than a football field. These weather effects appear to be artificially generated. This suggests technology capable of precise environmental manipulation. The ranch's history includes accounts from indigenous peoples. These accounts describe periodic openings. During these times, the barriers between worlds become thin. These events allegedly occur in cycles. These cycles correspond to astronomical alignments and solar activity. Some researchers believe that current investigations may be taking place during one of these opening periods. This would explain the increased activity and intensity of events. Government documents obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests reveal something. There is extensive military interest in the ranch, dating back to the 1950s. References to unusual technology recovery and non-conventional aircraft analysis suggest something. Official agencies have been aware of the ranch's unusual properties for decades. The full extent of government involvement remains classified. Medical studies of ranch personnel have revealed genetic changes. These changes occur only in individuals with prolonged exposure to the property. These modifications appear to enhance certain cognitive abilities, but they also cause unknown long-term health effects. The ethical effects of continued human exposure to these influences have become a subject of intense debate among researchers. The ranch's connection to broader paranormal events includes correlations with UFO sightings. These sightings occur across the western United States. Statistical analysis reveals that unusual aerial activity increases throughout the region. This happens when events at the ranch are most active. This suggests that Skinwalker Ranch may serve as a hub or central point. It may be the center for a much larger network of unusual activity. The truth about Skinwalker Ranch remains locked away in secure vaults and classified databases. It is protected by official secrecy and institutional skepticism. Those who have seen the complete evidence speak of revelations. These revelations would fundamentally alter human understanding of reality. They describe proof of technologies that defy known physics. They tell of entities that exist outside conventional biological classification. They speak of events that suggest our reality is far stranger than we dare to imagine. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of the classified files is not what they reveal about the events at Skinwalker Ranch. It's what they suggest about the nature of our world. If such amazing events can occur in one location, how many other mysteries remain hidden? These mysteries may be in remote corners of our planet. How many other classified vaults contain evidence of realities? These realities challenge everything we think we know. The ongoing secrecy surrounding Skinwalker Ranch raises questions. Who decides what truths humanity is ready to accept? The researchers who collected this evidence were trained scientists. They were not sensation seekers or conspiracy theorists. Their findings deserve serious consideration. This is true regardless of how unsettling their effects may be. As new owners and researchers continue to probe the mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch, they do something important. They follow in the footsteps of countless investigators. These investigators have encountered events that defy explanation. The classified files document their experiences and their discoveries. Perhaps most importantly, they document their warnings. These are warnings about forces that exist beyond the boundaries of human understanding. The vault beneath Las Vegas continues to guard its secrets. It waits for the day when humanity might be ready to confront the full truth. This is the truth about what lies hidden in the Utah desert. Until then, the events at Skinwalker Ranch persist. They challenge our assumptions about reality. They remind us that some mysteries may be too profound for human comprehension. What other secrets wait in classified files around the world? What other events have been deemed too dangerous for public knowledge? The answer to these questions may determine something important. It may determine not just our understanding of the paranormal. It may determine our future as a species. We are confronting mysteries that dwarf our current scientific paradigms. The files remain sealed. The questions remain unanswered. The events continue their eternal dance between worlds. They are observed but never fully understood. They are documented but never explained. They wait in the shadows of official secrecy. They wait for the moment when truth can no longer be contained.